computer. Well, welcome. This is Manifesting Your Dreams Workshop, and I wanted to really help you tonight to figure out who you want to be in 2023 and take some time to brainstorm, decide, and manifest the best for the year ahead. So tonight, we're going to spend about 90 minutes together, probably a little bit less. But we're going to go over a brief intro and welcome. I'll share with you my background for those of you who know me, and for those of you who don't know me, why I'm teaching this. It's probably been a long time coming. I've been doing the same process for the past 10 years, and it's really working. But this is the first time I'm ever sharing about it on any type of like public platform. So I'm excited for that. Now, let's see. Your previous year accomplishments, we're going to go over that. That's the first thing we're going to do, is really looking at the past year and all the things that you have accomplished, all the things you can appreciate or look at in this past year. So you're in the energy of things work out for me and things are moving in the right direction. I'll share with you my process for manifesting. So how I actually think about goal setting, what I figured out for the past couple of years of what was working and what wasn't. So I'll share that with you. We'll do a brief little guided visualization, meditation, exercise to get you ready to start writing your own. And I'll give you time to write out your goals for this new year. And then I'll share at the end for a couple of minutes or so about the upcoming program that I'm going to be launching in mid-January. That's going to help with all of this. So this is a new computer, so I'm figuring this out. So this is a workshop designed to help you to take ownership over your life, over the direction you want to head in, and then also to spend some time acknowledging yourself, because a lot of people, and this isn't true for everybody, but a lot of people look at the end of the year and they look towards all the things that they didn't accomplish. They look at the things that didn't go well. And it's just our natural tendency to do that. So it's hard to say I want to do X, Y, and Z in the new year if you have this mental load of like, everything doesn't work out for me. So we're going to navigate that first. We're going to intentionally create what we want rather than operating in default mode, which is what most of society operates in all the time. They're just walking around kind of like letting life happen. And so using this time tonight to visualize, to take the first step by figuring out what it is you actually do want and gifting yourself the next 90 minutes.
It's so funny that you're talking about focusing on what you did, not what you didn't, because I took your advice on writing a list at the end of every year, what you want to accomplish for the next year. And I noticed that as I've been doing this over the past 2 years, I find myself getting a bit depressed because there are things that I did not accomplish, at least not to completion. And I don't like seeing all those big red X's there. And when I was getting my astrology reading with Danielle, she said, maybe change it so that instead of writing down what you didn't do, just write about what you did do, whether
Right.
it was on your list from the previous year or not, because you're not supposed to feel deflated when you're making goals for yourself. And also because timing is not what we necessarily think it is. So just because I wrote down something that I wanted to accomplish in 2019 doesn't mean I failed if it didn't get there in 2020.
Perfect. Exactly.
I'm definitely going to be changing that up this year from what I've been doing for the past couple of years.
Right.
So also
And
look at
also,
Richter on my calendar, Richter on
and
my
also,
kitchen cabinet.
the background, and also
Yeah,
no
there's
red
always
ink.
a kitty in
We
the way.
don't cross out as though it didn't happen. It just hasn't happened yet.
Yes.
And so that's a perfect example of why we're going to do it this way. So to introduce myself to those of you who don't know me, I'm Jackie Corley. I'm a certified meditation teacher, an NLP practitioner, and a hypnotherapist. And all those words mean is that I work with people's unconscious mind. And the reason I do this is because many, many moons ago, I was kind of a train wreck and I didn't know how to have anything good in my life. I was constantly focused on things that were negative. I had a lot of negative thoughts in my head, and I didn't really think that I was going to be able to accomplish as much as I have in the past several years from doing this work. That's my partner, Jared. For those of you who are coming from our YouTube channel, we run Better Life Hypnosis and Meditations. We started that YouTube channel this year as a result of Jared's goal list from last year. He wrote down that he wanted to have a passive revenue stream, and this is what showed up for us. And we got monetized this year, which is really cool. So I've learned how to hack the mind to help people create lasting change. I've done this in my own life, and I love sharing my knowledge with others. So to give you a little bit of the backstory of this. I started in 2013 of writing down my accomplishments of the previous year and my goals for the year ahead. And this came from a dark period of my life. In 2013, I lost my mom to cancer, and my partner of 2 years broke up with me. And I was kind of in a really dark train wreck space in my life where I didn't know if anything was ever going to go my way again. So I had a roommate who basically picked me up off the floor of my kitchen and said, like let's do something different. Let's write down what you accomplished in 2013. And it actually forced me to look at things differently, because I could look at the death of my mother and my breakup as the worst things that could happen, or I could look at the what I could appreciate about those things. Losing my mom, I did get to spend her last moments with her. And I did know that it was coming. So I got to say my final goodbyes to her. So that was a moment I appreciated. I was able to spend the last moment of my mom's life with her. And my partnership wasn't a long-term partnership, and we broke up amicably. So I was able to look at that as a blessing, because it wasn't going to be a long-term successful relationship. And if you look at my goals, I don't know if you could see it here on the screen, but for 2014, they were very vague. I was like, I want to travel. I want to paint or draw more. And I'm going to share with you some little tips and tricks about goal setting that's going to make it more, to make it better for you than my initial time doing these. So developing one of my ideas is like, what does that even mean? By 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, I started making a much, much bigger asks of my higher power, of the universe, of myself, that I was able to start calling in things that the 2013 version of me would never in a million years believe could be possible. And I'm going to share with you how I did that. So I went from these tiny, like, I want to write and draw more, to in 2000, I think this was in 2020, at the end of 2020, I wrote down on my goal list for 2021 that I wanted to call in a large sum of money. I didn't specify how much. Within 30 days of writing that, I attracted a random $40,000 from doing some healing work around money. I made more money in that month than I had in the previous year. That year, I also wrote down that I wanted to go on vacation and I wanted to win a grand prize, a big prize. And that year, I won a luxury trip to Cabo for 7 days. It was completely paid for. And there's a picture of me in Cabo at the bottom. In the middle picture is me at the Grand Canyon in 2017. I wrote that I wanted to go to the Grand Canyon. By the end of 2017, it was looking like that was not happening. There was no chance that I was going to be going to the Grand Canyon. So I let it go. And that year, I got a few weeks later, my uncle called me and he said, I need someone to drive your aunt's car from California to Denver, Colorado. And I was like, is the Grand Canyon in the middle of those things? And he said, yeah, I think so. I'm like, so he paid me to drive this car from California to Denver, and I got to go to the Grand Canyon, and I didn't even have to pay for it. And this happened because I wrote it down. If I didn't have it written down, I wouldn't be able to be like, oh yeah, no, I attracted this into my experience. And I've had other things like this happen, like attracting the exact dollar amount to go see a specific speaker. A random client that I hadn't spoken to, deposited the exact dollar amount for the speaker I wanted to attend. And I had asked to have it within 24 hours. So these things can happen when you ask these big things of yourself and of the universe that is working on your behalf. There are also things that I call action-oriented goals, the action goals, which is reading 52 books a year. I had to actively do that, and I've done it for 2 years in a row. 5 years ago, there was absolutely no way I would ever read that many books on purpose. And things like I had to take action on creating the YouTube channel. My partner, we laugh about him because I said to him, like, you didn't exist until I wrote you into existence, because I wrote a few years ago all of these things that I wanted in a partnership. And then I worked on becoming the person who can attract that. So this is what I've discovered going from 2013 to now is that the first thing that you need to do, there's really 4 steps to having your goals come true or having your dreams come true. The first step is getting really clear, and that's what we're going to do tonight, is getting some clarity on what it is that you want, why you want it, what it will do for you. Then you have to do some clearing work around all of those beliefs, those thoughts, those negative patterns that come up that tell you that you're not worthy of it. We're not going to do that tonight, but I'll share a little bit more about how I help people do that later. There's also this aspect of creating that person who has that life. Somebody who doesn't believe that they're worthy of having the life they want is not going to have the life they want, because everything that you do is in response to your beliefs. So creating this new sense of self, this new identity that you get to step into every day is something that I did. So now I'm a person who believes that my dreams and goals can come true. And you want to condition that identity. You want to keep doing the things that program your mind to have that be your mindset, that have that be your inner dialogue. So what we're going to do first is take a look at your previous accomplishments, things you can acknowledge yourself for or appreciate. So the 3 A's. I'd start with accomplishments, things you feel like you actually accomplished, then what you can acknowledge yourself for if you run out of accomplishments, and then things you can appreciate about your past year. Now, these can be big things, small things, for example, books, visiting friends, staying at your job, meditating, traveling, doing some inner healing work, starting a business, going to the gym, going to therapy, doing whatever it is that you can acknowledge yourself for. These are just some examples on this screen. And it is meant and designed to get you into the energy of reflecting on your year. If hard things happen this year and things didn't go your way, think back to what I said about the year I lost my mom. Looking at if there's anything you can appreciate about it, any new perspective you can take. So we're going to do that right now. Do a little guided process where there's 22 things that you can think of or acknowledge yourself for this year. So if you're comfortable closing your eyes on camera, we're going to do a little meditative process. Taking a deep breath in through your nose and exhaling out any of the stresses of today, any tension in your body, anything that you feel like didn't go perfectly today, just letting it all out. Taking another deep breath in, expanding your chest out, and exhaling any leftover stress, tension, or sensations, and just allowing yourself to relax. One more deep breath in. And as you exhale, imagine yourself just relaxing even more completely. And in a moment, we're going to imagine, and you can actually do this now, whatever color success or accomplishment feels like to you, just imagine yourself in a bubble of that color, comforting, allowing the energy of that color just to go into you, of success, of accomplishment. And imagine that you can float up above this moment where you're taking the workshop. And notice where the past is located for you. Maybe behind you, it might be to the side of you. Wherever it is perfect for you. And imagine that you can look all the way out to the past. This past year is a timeline from January to December. And you can see all the way back to January of this year. And ask your mind to light up unconsciously anything you can be proud of, that you can acknowledge yourself for, that you can appreciate about this past year. And if it feels right, allow yourself to float above all of the months of this year, asking your mind to pull in anything it can. for you to be able to do this exercise successfully in a moment. I'll give you a couple moments here. And this can all be done unconsciously. You don't need to see anything in particular. Asking your mind to take all of that in and to just remind you of all the things that happened this past year that you can acknowledge yourself for. Whenever you're ready, you can come back into the room and open your eyes with a deep breath in. Now we'll spend maybe 10 minutes or so with a piece of paper or a Google Doc, whatever is most comfortable for you, writing down 22 things from 2022 that you can acknowledge yourself for. And if you want to mute yourself and play music, you can do that too. Take about 10 minutes or so whenever you're ready.
I've had a sleeping cat.
Goals. For those of you watching the replay, you can also, sometimes I look through old pictures from the past year, and that helps me look at things that I got to do. Another minute or so. You need any more time?
I think I'm good. I was planning on doing this on New Year's Eve day anyway, so I guess now I just got a head
Okay,
start.
great. Okay, so we'll go through the next two slides are going to be about how I think about goal setting, how I think about manifestations that I've kind of fell into over like I actually sat down and looked and like how do I actually do this? How do I call in things? So the first type of goals that I add to my list, I don't do this in any particular order, are what I call action goals or like in your power goals. So these are the goals that follow the SMART formula. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with the SMART formula or need a reminder, that means that the goal is specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. So basically, it's something that you're very clear on what it is that you want. You can measure whether or not you've had it. It's something that you can personally achieve it. It's realistic, meaning it's not going to be impossible for it to ever happen. And then timely. So with these goals, it's going to be in the span of this year for the next year. And they're goals that you have to actively work towards during the year. I used to write these types of goals like, I want to read more. What does that mean compared to what? Reading more could mean I've literally read an extra page or one page of a book and I read 0 pages the year before. Writing more is very vague in general and it doesn't give me anything to base whether or not I achieved it. And so, action oriented goals following the SMART formula are example, I will meditate for 10 minutes 3 days a week for the next year. Is that specific? Yes. Is it measurable? Yes. Is it achievable for some people? Yes. For some people, like I can't even meditate for 1 second. Is it realistic for me? Yes. Is it something I can give a time frame on? Of course. Other examples of this, I will lose 2 pounds a week for the next 3 months for those on a weight loss journey, or it could be weight gain journey. Opposite thing, waking up, petting your cat for 30 minutes.
I'm sorry,
And
he steals the show every time I'm on a Zoom call. He just has to stick his face in front of the camera every time.
like, hello, I'm here.
My other one's on my lap. Ripper just walks across the screen shamelessly.
Life goals do
It's
not
all
care.
about him.
Waking up 30 minutes earlier during the week to commit to a morning routine. So these are action goals, things you have to take action on. I think of this as the more masculine energy. So everyone has masculine and feminine energy. The more masculine energy is like more action oriented, whereas the feminine energy is more in flow and receptive. We have both. Whatever you are more of at your core, will the type of attraction that you have for your goals will probably feel more comfortable for you. I used to do a lot of action oriented goals, and I'm not really, it kind of stressed me out, to be honest with you. And I found myself like feeling like a failure a lot when I did more action oriented goals or like had to write things down in the SMART formula. The receptive goals are what I feel are the feminine, receiving, being open to things, just like kind of flowing and showing up. It's not like you don't have to take any action, but they're more inspired action. So I call these goals like from my higher power. So the other part was in your power. This is from your higher power. This is from the highest version of you, your higher self, whatever if you believe in God, if you believe in the universe, it's this energy that is still working on your behalf behind the scenes. Once I started writing goals like this, I started feeling things moving a little bit faster for me. They're the goals that you desire to have that are not typically things you consider in your power to have happen. there's kind of like a little magic behind the scenes. They're fun, they're playful, they're unrealistic in a good way, and requires co-creation with your creator. So the example that I gave before, where I wrote I wanted to win a big prize and I want to go on vacation, were two separate things I wrote, and the thing I got was a winning a luxury vacation to Cabo. Couldn't have pictured that in my head as something I wanted to do, and it wasn't something that I could create. Winning something had to come with a co-creation from something outside of myself. I did have to take action in order to sign up for the thing where they said, hey, do you want to win something? I had to take the action, but it was inspired, so I did it. It was playful, it was fun, and it was unrealistic, and it also happened. So that's where the goals are coming from. So what we're going to do next is take some time to write down being in an empowered state. I'm going to guide you through a little visualization exercise similar to what we just did, but we're going to go out into the future to a year from now, this space, this time, and we're going to look back towards now and ask your mind to pick up all the things that you wanted to have happen, all the things that went your way, and things like that. So we're going to do another little guided visualization, and I'll give you some space to write down your vision for 2023. So let's take a deep breath in. Whenever you're ready, if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes. Breathing out, letting anything go that you need to let go of, feeling empowered, asking your mind to relax, calling in that same color as before, whatever color you surrounded yourself with, to allow that to encompass you fully and completely, feeling safe, feeling protected. And I'd like you to imagine that you could float up above this moment now, looking down at yourself. And notice where the future is for you. If it's in front of you, if it's to the side, wherever it is perfect. It's just how you classify time in your mind. And ask your mind to float all the way out into the future on this day, 2023. Maybe making it a line, a point from this place to that place in your mind. Looking back towards now. And it's 2023, in December, and you're sitting down to write down your accomplishments of the previous year from January to December, getting ready to look at the year ahead, acknowledging yourself, appreciating yourself for all of the things that you did, that you accomplished, that came to you without you having to do anything to. And ask your mind to light up all of the things that happened in 2023 that you'll acknowledge yourself for. Take a few moments here to do this unconsciously, lighting up all of the things that happened. Moment, we're going to float back to the present moment, but only as quickly or as slowly as your mind can pick up on all the things that it lit up. Going from December all the way to January. Picking up on all the things that you wanted to accomplish that came true. Whenever you know it's done, you can take a deep breath in and you can re-enter the room. There's absolutely no rush. So from this space, we're going to take some time to write what your vision is for 2023, who you get to be in 2023. Put 10 minutes on the timer. You still need some more time?
I'm good.
Sure. Are there any that you want to share?
Let's see. I get my
Yeah.
snake tattoo filled in. I only got the outline. It's such a big tattoo. I couldn't do it all in one session. Um, I released my next album and the music videos for the two singles.
Great. That's specific.
I work up the courage to tell my parents about my ex-boyfriend's abuse without fear of consequences because I'm going to be fine. I'm going to stay safe. They will be fully supportive. I heal my relationship with my mom and further heal my relationship with my dad so I get closer with both of them. My mom apologizes for hurting me, and I tell her that I'm sorry for the pain she endured, which led her to abuse me. I finish hashing things out with my abusive ex, and he apologizes. He did that earlier this year as well, but he knew there was more. What else? I start my modeling career. I attain an intermediate level as a dancer. Start looking at joining studios. I get my hair's underlayer and front stripes bleached and dyed red for the first time since 2009. Used to do it myself, but then it damaged my hair. So I figured, you know what? I got more money now. I can get this done professionally at a salon. What else? I find a top tier sound engineering mentor who teaches me how to produce my albums that are studio quality.
Love it.
I did that for my instrumental album, but when I'm adding back in the vocals, it needs that extra layer. I make more friends and attract other people who respect me right off the bat. People see that I am powerful, capable, healthy, knowledgeable, intuitive, and a serious professional.
Love it. Those are great. And I like that they're a combination of goals that if you could look back, they're the combination of like SMART goals, the things that you have to do. And then there's also the element of like, there's some receptive things, there's things that you can put yourself on the right path for and do the things, and then also be in the receiving of it.
Yeah,
So, and
because I've been networking and I've noticed that sometimes I obviously have to take the action going to places, reaching out to certain people. But what I've noticed over the past couple of months is how many people are just coming to me.
right.
They're
And it'll start.
telling me,
Mhm.
I like when you did this thing. I like that thing you created. I like that song. Or somebody who's like I told you about the drummer from Taproot who just messaged me on Facebook and a DM, a very long message telling me that he liked my instrumental album. That was my first self-produced album. And a low-key famous musician told me, as one musician to another, like equals, I like your album. There was no, oh, I could tell you did it yourself or nice first attempt. It was just, I like this. I like this song. I like that song. This is why. I thought, holy shit, this is not somebody seeing me as an underling. This is a very successful musician in his late 40s seeing me as an equal. That's never happened before.
And it's going to continue to start.
Yeah.
It's like the more you do this, like the years as they go by, the bigger things that you ask for, like you become more in this state of believing that you can have it because
So you
you
don't have to
also are
force
doing,
it.
you don't have to force it. And it's like, oh, I can receive it. And it starts to make more sense. And it's like you do the work that you're guided to do. Like if you feel like you're supposed to work with somebody or do something or go somewhere, you'll see why you felt guided to do that, to be there, to like do that healing process. And it's all a part of it. Not everything happens. Like I've written down things that didn't happen in the exact year that I had thought, but it happened. Like I wrote out my partner in 2016, and I
I
didn't mean
remember when you told me that I
I
remember you
didn't
saying, oh, he's not.
I wrote in 2016, and I didn't meet my partner until 2018, 20, and we didn't get together until 2019. It's just like these things don't happen overnight, but the person you have to become, and then I put this in bold for those of you who still have like things you're not really sure you didn't write all 23. Ask yourself, because sometimes people want partnership, Sometimes people want like healthy relationships. You also have to ask yourself repeatedly, who do I have to become in order to have this life? Like if I'm going to believe that I can attract these experiences and these vacations and these things, like I have to be a different person who shows up every day who's like, yeah, things work out for me. I have to have that kind of inner dialogue than the one that's like, things never work out for me. I'm unlucky. All of these things that just kind of prevent it. It's almost like you have a firewall in your mind that blocks you from even seeing the good in your life because you have all these negative thoughts. So that's going to lead me to, we'll skip that. We kind of did that. You can make this into a vision board for those of you who are like more visual and want to like play around with it and have something pretty. Canva is a free, this is what I'm using is Canva. Canva is a free site and it can help you make great vision boards for those of you who really like to see the visual. I do the process of literally like setting it and forgetting it because I don't like to constantly look at like, oh, it didn't happen yet. It didn't happen yet. It's almost like pushing it away. I very rarely look at my goal list. I used to look at it all the time. I used to have like to-do lists of things I had to get done. I don't do that anymore. I also, and this is not something you have to do, make it your own, but I like to theme my years and look at the year past and just look at what the theme I want to be. Like, I think a couple of years ago it was like the year of queen energy. I wanted to be like a queen. Everything was just like I was royalty and I started winning things and having luxury vacations. And so that actually came true. I haven't decided yet what this next year, upcoming year is for me. But I think probably conscious creation, like creation. I like, yeah, I have a crown somewhere over here too. I don't think I have it in the room. I think I'm like going to create a new identity when I run my program and like just wear a crown every day. You can also do things if you like writing a story, telling about the past year with your future self, sharing how the year went. So, like writing from your future self how your year went is going to start to put you in that energy too. So, these are just some tips and insights that you could do in addition to this. And I wanted to briefly share about my upcoming program, which I'm so excited for because it's literally the program that I felt like I needed years and years and years ago. I've been on a personal development journey of trying to transform my life for probably the past 5 or 6 years. And it took me a while to figure out things that were actually working that I decided I wanted to learn those things to be able to share them with other people. And what I help people do is create their lives and decide who they want to be by also releasing those old beliefs, those past traumas, those limiting decisions that you made when you were really young because of other people who were unconsciously telling you who you were and unconsciously telling you like you're too much or you're too little or you're too bad or you're too this, that, or the other thing because they didn't know any better. And we pick up on those beliefs. So they cause these unconscious blocks in these areas that are important for you. I spent a, a I want to say I spent a couple of months working on relationship issues, clearing these blocks because there was a point in time where I'm like, there's no way I'm ever going to be in a relationship. And I had to clear a lot of that. And then I met my partner literally within a month or two of clearing the stuff that was in the way of me not believing I was worthy of having a partnership. And it also it's been in a lot of different areas. So what I help people do is condition also that version of yourself so that you can fully step into the life you want. So you're not constantly repeating all these same patterns and behaviors. So this is for people who feel like you're stuck in one or more areas of your life. Maybe you have ruminating thoughts or frequently feel stuck in the past or like you can't get over things that happened a long, long time ago. If you experience general negativity or negative emotions consistently, like anger, sadness, fear, guilt, shame, or anything that's just a constant negative emotion that's on repeat, usually there's something in the past that needs some healing or clearing. If you have negative dialogue, that little inner critic that's like, you can't do that. That's not for you. You're bad, or you're this or that. usually that's not even your own voice. It's from somebody else in your in your past who said those things to you as a child that just created this inner dialogue.
I
Also,
am the slide and I don't like it.
there too. So if you have a desire to move past your limiting beliefs and your decisions, it's funny because like everybody relates to this because it's so the we all think we're so unique in our problems. We just have different problems in different areas, but it all follows the same formula. So if you're someone who's like ready and you're like at that threshold and you're like, I am just so ready to be done with this and I want to just enter my new life, you have a history of traumatic events or shit, sorry to say that, but shit that still bothers you, even though it happened like 10, 15, 20 years ago, that's just a stuck program in your unconscious mind that just hasn't gotten resolved. If you feel like the best parts of you don't always show up, I've been there. I'm going to help people with getting the parts of them that belong in the right places. Like you're putting together a committee of people who are on your path, the right people in the right places doing the right job. And so if you're someone who wants to reclaim your life, your decisions, your actions, then this is the program that I've designed. So it's based on these four fundamental processes, this process of these steps, which one of which we started to do today. So really getting clear on what do you want? Because a lot of people are focused on what they don't want. To be honest, most of society is focused on like, I don't want to be fat. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want this. I don't want that. Because you focus your energy there, you literally get more of it. And it's hard in many cases to stop focusing on what you don't want because it's so relevant in your life. It's just so relevant. So what we're going to do after we get clear on what you want and in which areas, we're going to clear the stuff, the general negativity, the stuck emotions, the limiting decisions, those memories that are taking up space in your head that never got resolved because you didn't have the process to resolve it at that moment, that got stored in your mind and is still running in the background of your life. Okay, so we're going to work on clearing that. I'm also going to help throughout this program getting who you want to be. How do you want to show up? How do you want to feel? What do you want in your life? How do you want to show up every day? And I'm going to teach you some ways to basically install resources and also to condition that new identity so that it becomes easier for you to show up like that every day. Because one of the things that people miss a lot, and what I've noticed, is that we do all this clearing work, clearing. I need to like fix this. And then we don't really work on focusing on what we're creating and putting in its place. And the universe abhors a vacuum. So we're not putting what we want instead. We're just like, oh, I'm going to keep clearing, but we're not getting clear on what it is that we want. So we don't even know if what we want shows up because we never wrote it down. So that's what we're going to do throughout this program is these kind of 4 steps of like getting clear on what you want, clearing the past, creating your future, and conditioning that new identity. So I am keeping this super small, like 3 to 6-ish people. It's going to be 8 weeks long. Each week is going to be either a workshop or a group call of some sort where I'm going to go over an insight, something that's relevant for the week. And it's going to be a series of one-on-one sessions to help you get clarity, clear the unconscious blocks, create a compelling future, and condition the new you. So it's going to be a combination of workshops, group calls, and then one-on-one sessions that are individualized so that you get the result. And I'm taking 10-minute calls just to see if it's even a good fit for you, if that's something that resonates with you, so that we can get clear on what your vision is, what you're looking for, and I'll share with you if that's something that I can help you with. So the way to do that is to go to breakthecycle.net, and there's a little orange button that says book a call, and I'll book you in the calendar for 10 minutes. We'll talk for a little bit, and if it feels like a good fit, then we'll spend a little more time together. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me through my email or on my website. And I'm so thankful that we got to share this time, this space together. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what you get to create in 2023. Thank you. Did I stop my recording? Here we go.